You know, for decades, the GOAT debate in men's tennis was this fierce three-way fight. But lately, one guy has just systematically torn down almost every single argument against him. So how on earth did Novak Djokovic become the most decorated player the sport has ever seen? Well, that's what we're going to do. Let's break down the anatomy of a GOAT.
Okay, let's start with the big one, the number that, let's be honest, matters most in tennis, 24. That's his record for men's singles Grand Slam titles, more than any other man ever.
And then there's this number, 428. What's that? Oh, just the all-time record for weeks spent at world number one. I mean, to put that into perspective for you, that's more than 8 full years at the very top of the game. Just wow. And yeah, you can't forget the prize money. We're talking over $192 million. That makes him the highest-earning tennis player of all time. I mean, the numbers are just staggering, right? They're historic. They're almost hard to believe. But look, numbers? They only tell you what happened, not how. So the real question is, how did this guy, this outsider from a war-torn country, completely rewrite the record books in an era of absolute titans? Yeah, that's the story we're going to get into.
So to really get a grip on the champion, you gotta go back, way back, to the kid. See, his foundation wasn't built on some fancy country club court. Nope, it was forged in conflict.
He was born in Belgrade back in 1987, and his childhood was basically shaped by the Yugoslav wars. So his early years, they weren't just about learning to hit a forehand, they were about survival. NATO bombings were literally part of his daily life.
And the sacrifices his family made, they were just immense. They poured every single thing they had into his tennis. His dad was taking out these high-interest loans just to pay for training and travel. Can you imagine the kind of pressure that puts on a kid's shoulders?
And this image says it all, doesn't it? This is what you get when you mix desperation with sheer will. When it was too dangerous to be outside during the bombings, he would practice in an old, drained swimming pool they'd turned into a makeshift court. I mean, if that's not a symbol of unbreakable focus, I don't know what is. Okay, so all that resilience he built up as a kid, it was about to be tested, like immediately. Because when Djokovic turned pro, he wasn't just joining the tour. Oh no, he was walking straight into an era that was completely locked down by 2 living legends. We're talking, of course, about Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. These two had an absolute iron grip on the sport. I mean, they'd won 11 straight majors between them. It wasn't just a rivalry, it was a total duopoly. And then along comes this super talented, but yeah, pretty unproven 20-year-old from Serbia. And then, boom, the 2008 Australian Open. Djokovic wins his first major. But it was so much more than that. He became the very first guy in 3 years who wasn't named Federer or Nadal to win a Grand Slam. That was it. The party was crashed, the duopoly was over, the Big Three era had officially started. But look, breaking through is one thing. What happened next? That was a whole different level. See, Djokovic didn't just crash the party. He basically took it over and started throwing his own. And he entered these periods of dominance that were just, they were unreal. Just take a look at this timeline of his peak. In 2011, he starts the year 41-0 and wins 3 majors. In 2015, he gets to 15 consecutive finals. That's just insane. Then in 2016, he pulls off the Nole slam, holding all 4 major titles at the same time. And in 2021, he wins the first 3 majors of the year on 3 different surfaces. The consistency is just off the charts. And that win at the French Open in 2016, that was huge. It wasn't just about finishing his career Grand Slam. By winning that, he became the first man since the legendary Rod Laver, all the way back in 1969, to hold all 4 major trophies at the same time. Talk about a statement of absolute dominance. But of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. Not even close. His path to the top was anything but a straight line. It was more like a gauntlet, filled with career-threatening injuries and, yeah, some major off-court controversies that really tested him in a whole different way. So in 2017, this really bad elbow injury forces him to shut down his season. His ranking just tanks all the way down to number 22, his lowest in over a decade. And honestly, a lot of people thought, well, that's it. He's done. But then, after surgery, he stages one of the greatest comebacks ever in 2018, winning both Wimbledon and the US Open, and climbs all the way back to world number 1. Just incredible.
And then came the absolute firestorm of 2022 in Australia. It was a whole saga. He gets a medical exemption to play, but when he arrives, he gets detained. Then a court rules in his favor and he's released. But then the immigration minister personally steps in and cancels his visa again, citing public health concerns. The final verdict? The court upholds it, and he gets deported, unable to even defend his title.
So you take all of that, the childhood during a war, the immense pressure, the injuries, the controversies, and through it all, what did he do? He just kept on winning. And by doing that, he built a case for being the GOAT that when you look at the stats is pretty much unbreakable.
I mean, his legacy is really built on this insane list of things he's the only man to have ever done. He's the only guy to win every single major at least 3 times. The only man to win all 9 of the big Masters 1000 tournaments, and he's done that twice. He's the only player to have won all of the sport's big titles, plus an Olympic gold. It's a club of 1.
And then, the final piece of the puzzle, the one thing that was missing, the 2024 Paris Olympics. Winning that gold medal wasn't just a win, it completed the historic career Super Slam. It was the ultimate cherry on top of a resume that is just totally unmatched.
So whether you love him or not, you just can't argue with the numbers. His journey from a kid practicing in a swimming pool during a war to the absolute pinnacle of tennis, it's a story of relentless, historic achievement. The records are all there, written in stone. So I guess the only question left to ask is the debate finally over?